Close your eyes and let the weight of the day settle into the mattress beneath you. Take a long, slow, deep breath, feeling the cool air enter your lungs and the gentle warmth as you exhale. Imagine the walls of your room dissolving, replaced by the vast open canopy of a twilight sky. The air around you is changing. It is becoming dry and warm, carrying the faint, sweet scent of sandalwood, sun-baked earth, and the distant promise of the sea. Tonight, we are not just traveling through space, but through time. We are leaving behind the frantic pace of the modern world to join a journey that has been trodden by millions of souls over thousands of years. We are stepping onto the Silk Road, the legendary network of paths that once stitched the world together. From the dragon-guarded gates of ancient China to the shimmering marble quays of the Mediterranean, the rhythms of the journey visualize the scene as we begin our trek. It is the year 750 AD, the height of the Temps dynasty's glory. We are standing at the western gates of Xi'an, the eastern terminus of the world. The sun is just beginning to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of bruised purple and burnt orange. Beside us, a caravan is preparing to depart. Hear the sounds of the journey, the low, rhythmic clinking bells, the soft shuffling of leather boots on the dust, and the gentle creak of wooden crates filled with treasures beyond imagination. There is no hurry here. On the Silk Road, time is measured not in minutes, but in the slow, swaying gait of a camel and the rising and setting of the moon. The treasures and the silence within these packs lie rolls of silk, so fine they feel like running water between your fingers. There are jars of blue cobalt from Persia, bags of pungent black pepper from India, and delicate ceramics that chime like bells when struck. But the most precious cargo we carry is something invisible. It is the stories, the philosophies, and the dreams of every traveler who has walked this path before us. As we step out into the vastness of the open road, feel the silence of the landscape wrap around you like a heavy, protective cloak. The horizon is infinite, and the stars above are the same stars that guided the merchants, the monks, and the explorers of old. You are safe in this silence. You are part of this eternal flow. Tonight, you don't need to worry about the destination. The journey is everything. Let the rhythmic swaying of the caravan lull you into a state of perfect stillness. We have thousands of miles to cover, and we will take every step together, moving slowly through the heart of the ancient world until the sun finds us once again. The world is draped in a silver shroud of mist as we find ourselves standing in the heart of Chang'an, the city of eternal peace. In the year 750, before the first cooking fires are lit, before the voices of a million souls rise to meet the day, there is a profound and heavy silence that clings to the gray brick walls and the sweeping, terracotta-tiled eaves of the watchtowers. This is the hour of the blue light, where the sky is not yet gray, and the stars have only just begun to fade into the velvet depths of the atmosphere. The air is cool and damp, carrying the clean, sharp scent of wet stone, the faint, lingering aroma of sandalwood incense from a nearby temple, and the earthy, sweet smell of the surrounding plains. As you stand here, feel the stillness of the city settle over you like a protective cloak. There is no hurry in this hour. There is only the slow, rhythmic breathing of a city that has not yet stirred from its dreams. Imagine the vast boulevards, usually teeming with horses and carts, now empty and echoing with nothing but the softest whisper of the morning breeze. Listen closely to the first deep sound of the morning, a sound that signals the end of the night's rest. It begins as a low vibration beneath your feet, a resonant thrum that seems to come from the very bedrock of the city. This is the awakening of the Great West Gate, the portal to the unknown. These doors are massive, crafted from seasoned ironwood that has hardened over decades, reinforced with heavy bronze studs and iron plates that have weathered 1,000 seasonal storms. As the guards lean their weight into the massive timber bars in the opening mechanism, the wood begins to groan a long, deep, melodic creak that echoes through the empty avenues. It is a sound of immense weight and ancient purpose, the sound of a threshold being crossed. You can hear the iron pivots turning slowly in their stone sockets, a rhythmic thud and slide that feels grounding and permanent. As the gates swing wide, the silver mist from the plains outside flows into the city like a slow-moving river, meeting the cool air of the streets. A gentle breeze follows, carrying the scent of the wild world beyond the walls, the smell of dry steppe grass, cold river water from the way, and the vast open horizon that is waiting to be explored. Near the gateway, in the deep shadows of a courtyard lined with ancient, gnarled ginkgo trees, whose leaves are still dark in the dawn, the caravan is preparing for its long journey. The movements of the merchants and the caravan leaders are soft and deliberate, a quiet choreography of preparation that has been refined over centuries of travel. You hear the rhythmic shush-shush of their cloth shoes against the damp, uneven cobblestones, a sound as gentle and soothing as falling leaves. There is no shouting here, only the low, melodic murmur of voices discussing the day's route and the weight of the packs. In the center of the yard, the great Bactrian camels are waking. They are magnificent, shaggy giants with thick, matted coats of woolly fur that still hold the deep chill of the night. Listen to the sound of their breathing, the deep, hollowing huff, followed by a long, slow, vibrating sigh that sends clouds of white steam into the morning air. When they shift their weight, their large, padded feet make a soft, muffled thud against the earth, a sound that feels like a heartbeat, steady and reliable. They are the living anchors of this journey, patient and unhurried, their steady presence providing a sense of absolute calm to everyone around them. Watch the hands of the packers as they handle the treasures of the East. This is a task of sacred care, a meditation in motion. They are wrapping the silk, the fabric of kings, poets, and dreams. Imagine the sound of a bolt of heavy silk being unrolled one last time to ensure its perfection. It is a soft, liquid hiss, like the sound of a calm sea retreating from a sandy shore. The silk is cool and shimmering, feeling like running water between the fingers, its surface catching the dim, blue light of the dawn. The workers wrap these precious rolls in layers of heavy, oil-treated cloth and thick, handmade mulberry paper to shield them from the biting, invasive dust of the Gobi. Here, the soft, rhythmic crinkle of the paper and the low, hollow sound of the cedar wood crates being latched shut. The scent of the cedar is sharp and refreshing, mixing with the earthy smell of the camels and the sweet, dry fragrance of pressed tea leaves packed in nearby chests. Every knot in the heavy hemp ropes is tied with a steady, repetitive rhythm pull tuck. Tighten a series of small, perfect actions that create a foundation of safety for the thousands of miles ahead. Now, as you look up toward the high, sloping roofs of the palace and the looming watchtowers, the sky is beginning to shift from deep indigo to a soft, pearlescent gray. A single thin line of gold appears on the horizon, as if a needle of light is stitching the earth to the sky. Slowly, the sun begins to spill over the city walls, a pale, liquid gold that dissolves the mist and touches the gray roof tiles. You can almost hear the light as it warms the stone, a silent expansion that brings the city into focus. The sun is gentle, providing a soft warmth that touches your shoulders and calms your mind, chasing away the remnants of the night's cold. As the light spreads, the colors of the world wake up in a slow, beautiful wash: the deep, cinnabar red of the temple pillars, the faded mossy greens of the garden walls, and the brilliant, dazzling white of the limestone statues that stand guard at the intersections. The atmosphere is filled with a symphony of muted, distant sounds. From the hills to the east, a large bronze temple bell is struck, sending a deep, long-lasting vibration through the air, a low boom that ripples out in waves, fading so slowly that you can still feel the hum in the air long after the sound has vanished. Close by, the morning breeze catches the wind chimes hanging from the eaves of a merchant's shop, creating a light, dancing melody, a delicate ting-ting-ting that sounds like tiny glass bells caught in a dream. These sounds do not disturb the peace, they enhance it, creating a layer of harmony that tells you the world is in balance. You hear the soft splashing of water as someone washes their face at a nearby stone basin, the rhythmic fluttering of birds' wings as they rise from the eaves to meet the sun, and the distant, muffled sounds of the city starting to breathe, far-off clatter of a wooden wheel, the soft call of a morning bird, and the gentle rustle of the wind through the ginkgo leaves. The lead merchant raises a hand, a silent, graceful signal that it is time. One by one, the camels are led toward the open gate. The bronze bell around the led camel's neck gives a single, clear clank, a deep, resonant note that signals the start of the journey into the unknown. The animals rise with a slow, heavy grace, their humps swaying as they find their footing, a movement that feels like the earth itself is shifting. The caravan begins to move, a long swaying line of life passing slowly through the massive wooden gates and out into the vastness. As you walk beside them, the city begins to recede, its walls growing smaller behind you. The sounds of the buildings and the echoes of the streets fade away, replaced by the vast, beautiful silence of the open road. The excitement of the departure is not a frantic energy, but a quiet, internal phlegma feeling of deep readiness and peace. The road ahead is long, stretching across mountains and deserts, but the pace is slow and steady. You are part of an eternal flow, moving with the same rhythm that has guided travelers for 1,000 years. The sun is rising higher now, the mist is gone, and the world is open and still, waiting for your first step. The weeks of travel have transformed the world. The familiar greens of the valleys, the rushing sounds of the Wei River, and the protective embrace of the high city walls are now nothing more than distant echoes in the corridors of memory. We have crossed the threshold into a realm of pure light and infinite space. Welcome to the heart of the Gobi, the sea of sand, a place where the earth strips itself of all its ornaments to reveal its ancient, silent soul. Here, there are no landmarks to measure your progress, no trees to cast a familiar shadow, and no voices but the ones whispered by the wind. As the caravan moves deeper into this golden wilderness, feel the boundaries of your own life begin to soften. The frantic pace of the world you left behind is being replaced by a much older, much slower rhythm, the rhythm of the shifting dunes and the turning stars. Look out across the horizon. In every direction, the great dunes rise and fall like the waves of a frozen, sun-drenched ocean. These are not merely mounds of sand. They are monolithic structures, sculpted by the patient hands of the wind over millions of years. Some rise hundreds of feet into the air, their crests sharp and curved like the blades of scimitars, while others roll gently like the breath of a sleeping giant. The color of the landscape is a living thing, constantly evolving as the sun makes its slow, solitary trek across the cloudless blue vault above. In the early light, the sand is a pale, ethereal cream, almost translucent. As the day reaches its zenith, it burns with a fierce, blinding white, and then, as the shadows begin to stretch, it deepens into a rich, glowing ochre, a burnt orange, and finally, a majestic, bruised bronze. The sheer scale of this place is designed to quiet the mind. When faced with such vastness, the small worries of the self simply dissolve. There is no room for anxiety in a landscape this grand. There is only room for breath. Listen to the voice of the desert. It is a sound that requires absolute stillness to hear. It is not a roar or a shout, but a soft, rhythmic hiss, the sound of trillions of microscopic grains of sand being nudged by the breeze. Travelers call this the singing sands. Imagine the sound of the finest silk sliding slowly over a surface of polished stone. It is a constant, hushing melody, a white noise created by the earth itself. It rises and falls with the wind, a gentle she that mimics the sound of a distant sea. This sound is hypnotic, a natural lullaby that smooths out the edges of your thoughts until they are as level as the desert floor. Within this sound, there is an invitation to let go. The desert is not asking anything of you. It does not require your attention or your energy. It simply exists, and in its presence, you are allowed to simply exist as well. The caravan moves through this sea of gold with a slow, swaying grace that feels like a meditation in motion. The pace is no longer dictated by human desire, but by the soft, yielding nature of the terrain. Each step taken by the camels is a deliberate, heavy, and rhythmic action. Feel the sensation of their large, padded feet sinking deep into the warm, sun-soaked grains before being lifted with a soft, muffled thud. The swaying of their humps creates a pendulous rocking motion that ripples through the entire line. It is the movement of a cradle, a steady and predictable swaying that vibrates through your body, calming the nervous system and slowing the heart rate. The jingle of the bronze bells has changed here. The dry air makes the sound crisper, yet more distant. A single clink followed by a long silence, then another clink. It is the ticking of a clock that has no hours, only the infinite present. Behind the caravan, the footprints we leave are a temporary testament to our passage. Look back and see the line of deep indentations stretching into the distance, a winding path that marks our journey. But even as you watch, the wind is at work. The breeze gently nudges the sand from the crests of the dunes, sending tiny veils of dust dancing into the hollows of our tracks. Slowly, the footprints begin to fill. The sharp edges soften, the depths become shallow, and within an hour, the path is gone. The desert has reset itself. It is as if we were never here. There is a profound, healing comfort in this erasure. It reminds you that the world is capable of renewing itself, that the tracks we leave in our lives, the mistakes, the burdens, the heavy steps can be smoothed over by the passage of time and the gentle breath of nature. You are walking on a clean slate, a world that is always new, always fresh, and always still as the afternoon light begins to lengthen. The heat of the day starts its slow retreat, leaving behind a cooling, crystalline clarity. The sky undergoes a breathtaking transformation, shifting from a dusty, sun-bleached turquoise to a deep, royal violet. This is the hour of the long shadows. Each ripple in the sand, each tiny pebble, casts a shadow 10 times its size, turning the desert into a complex map of light and dark. The transition into evening is seamless and unhurried. The air becomes crisp and clean, smelling of nothing but sun-baked minerals and the approaching cold. As you breathe in, the coolness feels like a draft of spring water, refreshing your lungs and clearing your head. The silence of the desert during this transition is absolute. The wind drops to a mere whisper, and the world seems to hold its breath in anticipation of the night. Then, the sun touches the horizon, and for a few moments, the world is set on fire. The dunes glow with an inner radiance, a brilliant crimson that fades into a deep, regal purple. And then, as if a lamp has been extinguished, the darkness arrives. But it is not a frightening darkness. It is a velvety, protective blanket that wraps around the caravan. The temperature drops, and the sand beneath the camel's feet begins to give off its stored warmth, creating a gentle, radiant heat that rises up to meet the cool night air. The camp settles into the sand with a collective sigh. The animals kneel, their heavy bodies making a soft whoof sound as they settle into the dunes. Look up now, away from the flickering embers of the small campfires, and behold the infinite. Away from the haze of cities, the sky of the Gobi is a revelation. The stars do not just appear, they dominate. There are billions of them, so dense and so bright that they seem to exert a physical weight upon the world. The Milky Way stretches from one horizon to the other, a colossal, glowing river of starlight that looks like white smoke frozen in the sky. As you gaze into this depth, the concept of time becomes entirely meaningless. You are looking at light that began its journey long before the Silk Road was ever imagined. In the presence of this celestial ocean, your own life feels small, yet perfectly connected to the fabric of the universe. You are a speck of dust, but you are a speck of dust that can witness the stars. The silence of the desert night is a living thing. It is so deep that you can hear the sound of your own blood pulsing gently in your ears, soft, steady rhythm that matches the swaying of the camels from the day. The desert is a place of total stillness, a sanctuary where the mind can finally stop its endless wandering. There is nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, and no one you need to be. You are cradled in the soft, cool hollow of a dune, protected by the immense scale of the landscape, and watched over by a billion ancient eyes. Everything is still. Everything is at peace. Let the cold, clean air fill your lungs one last time before you drift away. The desert will be here when you wake, unchanged and eternal. But for now, let yourself sink into the sand, disappearing into the infinite, starlit silence of the Gobi. The transition from the wild, golden desolation of the Gobi to the ancient, lush oasis of Samarkand is like waking from a dream of fire into a dream of water and azure light. As the caravan approaches the city gates, the air itself undergoes a miraculous transformation. The dry, parched heat that has scorched your skin for weeks begins to soften, replaced by a refreshing, moisture-laden breeze that flows down from the snow-capped peaks of the Pamir Mountains. This breeze carries with it the life of 1,000 gardens, the scent of ripening apricots, the cool breath of flowing rivers, and the delicate perfume of blooming jasmine. This is the jewel of the world, a sanctuary of wisdom and beauty, where the horizon is no longer a flat line of sand, but a magnificent silhouette of towering domes and slender minarets. As you move through the massive arched gateways, at the hour of twilight, feel the weight of the desert journey begin to lift. Here, the frantic pulse of survival is replaced by a deep, intellectual stillness, a calm that has been polished by the footsteps of poets and scholars for over 2,000 years. Look up now, as the sun begins its slow descent behind the jagged mountains. Before you lies the Registan, a square so grand and so harmonious that it feels like a physical manifestation of a celestial realm. In this fading light, the great madrasas, the centers of higher learning, do not merely reflect the sun. They seem to glow with an inner, spiritual radiance. The walls are covered in millions of hand-painted tiles, a breathtaking mosaic of sapphire, turquoise, azure, and deep lapis lazuli. These are the colors of the sky at different hours of the day, captured in clay and glaze. As the golden hour hits these tiles, they shimmer with a peacock feather brilliance, turning the entire square into a sea of blue light. Imagine yourself standing in the center of this vast space, your eyes tracing the intricate, interlocking geometric patterns that wind across the towering facades. These are not just decorations. They are mathematical poems, representing the infinite nature of the universe and the perfect order of creation. Following these lines with your mind is a form of meditation, a way to still the internal chatter and find a point of absolute focus. Step off the soft, shifting sand of the road and onto the cool, polished marble and limestone of the city's heart. After the relentless warmth of the desert, the stone beneath your feet feels like a healing balm, drawing the heat from your body. This stone is incredibly smooth, having been worn down over centuries by the passage of millions of souls, merchants seeking fortune, monks seeking truth, and weary travelers like yourself seeking rest. As you walk, listen to the unique acoustics of the city. In these wide open courtyards, every sound is softened, rounded, and stretched. The distant echo of a single footstep against the marble, the soft rustle of a silk robe, the muted murmur of a scholar reciting a verse in a distant room. These sounds do not clash. They weave together into a quiet, atmospheric hum. The high, thick walls of the madrasas act as a barrier against the chaos of the outside world, creating a sanctuary of silence, where the only thing that matters is the present moment and the pursuit of inner peace. Nearby, the great bazaar is beginning its nightly ritual of closure. This is no longer the bustling, loud market of the midday sun, but a sanctuary of fading fragrances and long shadows. As the merchants slowly pull the heavy, hand-carved wooden shutters over their stalls. The air becomes thick with the ghosts of the day's trade. Close your eyes and breathe in as deeply as you can. The air is heavy, sweet, and intoxicatingly rich, a tapestry of scents that tell the story of the entire Silk Road in a single breath. You can smell the earthy, expensive warmth of saffron gathered from the fields of Persia, the sharp, citrusy brightness of cardamom from the tropical south, and the deep, woody, comforting aroma of cinnamon bark. There is the faint, floral scent of dried rose petals, and the smoky, resinous aroma of frankincense. These smells are not overwhelming. They are layered and mellow, like a fine perfume that has lingered in a quiet room for hours. They settle in your senses, grounding you to the earth and lulling you into a state of relaxed, sensory contentment as night begins to descend more fully. Samarkand reveals its most mystical and intellectual side in the quiet, shadowed courtyards of the observatories and the schools of science. The city's thinkers are waking up to the sky. This is a city that loves the stars. Imagine the astronomers moving silently across the rooftop terraces, their long silk robes whispering against the stone. They handle their instruments gleaming bronze astrolabes and massive stone quadrants with a reverence that borders on the holy. There is no shouting here, only the occasional quiet whisper as they track the movements of the planets and the distant, flickering constellations. They are reading the book of the heavens, seeking the same eternal truths that the desert stars whispered to us nights ago. In Samarkand, learning is not a race. It is a slow, lifelong journey of the soul. Being in the presence of this collective wisdom feels like being held in a vast, intellectual embrace. It reminds you that there is an inherent order to the world, and that you are a small but perfect part of that grand design. Listen now to the most soothing sound in all of Samarkand, the water. In a city born from a desert oasis, water is more than a resource. It is the lifeblood of peace. In the center of every courtyard, beneath the deep, cooling shade of ancient mulberry trees, there are stone fountains and wide still pools known as haws. The water flows from hidden mountain springs through narrow marble channels, gurgling softly as it moves through the city before spilling into these deep basins. Listen to that sound, a constant, rhythmic murmur and splash, a liquid lullaby that never ends. The sound of the water is cool, clean, and rhythmic, washing away the dust of the Gobi and the fatigue of the long road. In the moonlight, the surface of these pools acts as a perfect mirror, reflecting the blue tiled domes and the shimmering stars, merging the earth and the sky into a single, tranquil image. You can almost feel the coolness of the water radiating through the air, lowering the temperature of the night and calming your spirit. The city is settling now into a deep, scholarly rest. The candles in the madrasa windows are being extinguished one by one, leaving the blue tiles to glow silver and gray under the light of the moon. The air is cool, the stone is still, and the scent of the spices has faded into a gentle, honeyed warmth that hangs in the air. You are safe within the walls of this city of dreams. The wisdom of the ages surrounds you like a protective shield. The rhythm of the water calms your heartbeat, and the infinite patterns of the blue tiles guide your mind into a state of perfect, geometric harmony. There is nothing more you need to learn tonight, nothing more you need to see. Let the cool silence of Samarkand wrap around you. Sink into the stillness of the night, feel the ancient stones supporting you, and let the soft, liquid whispers of the fountains carry you into a sleep as deep, as blue, and as beautiful as the domes of the city. As we leave the blue-tiled majesty of Samarkand behind, the journey shifts. We move westward, across the dry, sun-baked plains of Transoxiana, until the horizon is broken by the ancient, holy silhouette of Buk. But tonight, we are not here to walk the crowded trade domes, or to stand beneath the dizzying height of the Kalon minaret. Instead, we are seeking a much deeper, more personal sanctuary. We are stepping away from the main thoroughfares, away from the echoes of the markets, and slipping through a narrow, unassuming wooden door heavy with age and smoothed by the touch of 1,000 hands set into a high, thick wall of sun-baked mud brick. As you cross this threshold, feel the immediate, profound transition in the world around you. This is the entrance to a hidden world, a private garden, an inner courtyard that has been a sanctuary for weary travelers, poets, and dreamers for over a millennium. As the door closes behind you with a soft, muffled thud, the dry, dusty wind of the open plains is suddenly, miraculously silenced. The thick, protective embrace of these ancient walls acts as a barrier, not just against the desert, but against time itself. Within these walls, the world is hushed, intimate, and deeply, beautifully still. It feels as though you have stepped into the very heart of the Silk Road, a secret chamber, where the spirit of the road finally comes to rest. Take a moment to simply stand in the doorway and breathe. The first thing you notice is the immediate, healing drop in temperature. These high walls of mud and straw, which have absorbed the relentless heat of the Central Asian sun all day, are now releasing that warmth slowly, creating a temperate, gentle microclimate. The air here is not just cool, it is alive. It is moist, heavy, and rich with the scent of life in an arid land. Take a slow, deep, intentional breath. Feel the air enter your lungs. It is soft and sweet. You can smell the heavy, honeyed fragrance of ripening figs hanging low from ancient branches. You can smell the sharp, clean, resinous scent of cypress trees that stand like tall, dark sentinels in the corners of the courtyard, and weaving through it all is the delicate, intoxicating aroma of night-blooming jasmine, its tiny white flowers opening like stars in the shadows to release their perfume into the cooling night. This is a place of total, unassailable shelter. Here, the desert cannot reach you. The harshness of the journey, the grit of the sand, the glare of the sun, the endless horizon, all of it is barred at the gate. The silence here is not empty. It is a physical presence, thick and comforting like a heavy wool blanket. You are safe. You are protected. You are entirely hidden from the eyes of the world, cradled in a green womb of leaves and stone. Now, let us move deeper into this garden. The paths beneath your feet are not made of the harsh, jagged rocks of the mountain passes, or the shifting, unstable sands of the Gobi. They are crafted from ancient river stones, hand-placed centuries ago and worn perfectly smooth, rounded, and flat by the passage of countless feet. These stones are cool to the touch, and as you walk upon them slowly, with no destination in mind, no urgency in your heart, you can feel the history etched into their very grain. Each step is a soft, rhythmic connection between your body and the earth. There is no need to hurry here. In this garden, time does not move in a straight line. It circles slowly, like the scent of the flowers. Imagine yourself moving at a pace so slow that you can notice the subtle shift of your weight from heel to toe, the way the cool stone supports you, and the way the long, gentle shadows of the trees dance across your path in the moonlight. Look up at the silhouettes of the trees against the deep, velvet indigo of the sky. The cypress trees are the guardians of the Bukhara night, their dark, needle-covered branches motionless in the still air. They point toward the stars, connecting the earth to the heavens. Beside them, the fig trees spread their wide, heavy limbs, their broad, scalloped leaves looking like silver hands catching the falling moonlight. The moon rests gently on the surface of these leaves, creating a shimmering metallic glow that illuminates the garden with a soft, ethereal light. There is no need for lanterns here. The light is kind. It softens the edges of the world and quiets the mind. It casts long liquid shadows that merge with the deep greens of the foliage, turning the courtyard into a landscape of silver and Inca, place where the boundaries between the physical world and the world of dreams begin to blur. In the center of this sheltered haven, nestled between the roots of an ancient mulberry tree, lies a quiet pool of water, a haze. Unlike the grand, splashing fountains of the royal squares, this pool is perfectly, unnervingly still. It is a mirror, of dark glass, a deep obsidian eye, reflecting the stars and the overhanging branches with such crystalline clarity that it is hard to tell where the water ends and the night sky begins. Occasionally, a single drop of dew, heavy with the coolness of the night, gathers at the tip of a fig leaf. It hangs there for a long moment, shimmering like a diamond, before finally falling. Listen to that sound, a tiny, rhythmic plink as it hits the surface. The sound ripples outward in perfect, concentric circles, a visual representation of peace spreading through your entire body. The water is deep and cool, holding the ancient memory of the mountains. Listening to that occasional, delicate sound is the ultimate lullaby, a reminder that life is flowing, even in the absolute stillness of the night. Listen now to the hum of the garden. Even in this profound silence, there is a soft, melodic vibration. It is the sound of thousands of tiny, invisible insects humming softly in the warm night air. This is not a disturbance. It is a constant, low-frequency thrum, a blanket of sound that wraps around your senses. It is the heartbeat of the garden, a rhythmic and hypnotic vibration that seems to resonate with your own breathing. Every inhale you take matches the rise of the hum. Every exhale matches its fall, combined with the distant, muffled call of a night bird and the occasional, soft rustle of a leaf. This soundscape creates a cocoon of absolute safety. It tells your subconscious that the world is alive, but it is at rest. You are a part of this ecosystem of peace, a guest in a home that has known nothing but tranquility for generations. The intimacy of this space is its greatest gift. Within these mud brick walls, you are no longer a traveler. You are not a merchant, not a seeker of fortune, not a name on a ledger. You are simply a soul at rest. The garden doesn't ask you where you have been or how many miles you have walked. It does not ask what treasures you carry or what losses you have endured. It only offers you its shade, its scent, and its silver silence. Feel the weight of your journey, the miles of burning sand, the freezing nights on the high plateau, the noise of the crowded bazaars, all of it melting away as you sink into the stillness of Bukhara. The cypress trees are watching over you, the fig leaves are cradling the moonlight, and the ancient stones are holding the memory of your footsteps. As you prepare to surrender completely to sleep, let the image of this garden be the last thing in your mind. Imagine the silver light dancing on the still water of the pool. Feel the cool, smooth stone beneath your feet. Smell the jasmine and the damp earth. You are sheltered in the secret heart of the Silk Road. You are safe. You are hidden. You are home. Let the stillness of the Bukhara night carry you down, deeper and deeper, into a dreamless slumber, moving slowly through the garden of your mind until there is nothing left but the cool, silver silence of the ancient world. As the lush, hidden gardens of Bukhara fade into the distant tapestry of memory, a new chapter of our journey unfolds across the high, rugged plateau of the Persian heartland. Here, the world feels more immense, more ancient, and more profoundly still than anywhere else we have traveled. The horizon stretches out in every direction like a vast, bruised canvas of indigo and violet, broken only by the jagged, silent silhouettes of the Zagros and Alborz mountains that loom on the edge of the world like the guardians of eternity. The air has undergone a final, crystalline transformation. It is no longer the humid breath of the oasis, but a dry, sharp, and incredibly clean air that carries the faint, herbal scent of wild mountain sage, sun-baked limestone, and the cooling dust of 1,000 years of travel. As the sun dips below the horizon, leaving a trail of fire and gold in its wake, we see our refuge rising from the deepening twilight of Persian calm. This massive stone structure stands as a fortress of peace in the middle of the vastness, its formidable walls built from heavy, sun-baked blocks of stone and clay that have spent the entire day drinking in the relentless heat of the Persian sun. As you approach these walls in the cooling evening, you can press your hand against the weathered surface and feel the stored warmth vibrating back out, a gentle, steady, and life-affirming heat that feels like the very earth itself is exhaling against your skin, welcoming you back into its protective embrace. We pass through the high, monumental arched gateway, a portal between the unpredictable wild of the plateau and the ordered sanctuary of the stone. And as the heavy, iron-reinforced timber doors are pulled shut behind us with a resonant, muffled thud, we enter a world of perfect symmetry and absolute silence. Inside, the caravanserai is a masterpiece of architectural stillness, a wide, rectangular courtyard surrounded by elegant, pointed stone arches that lead into deep, shadowed cells. The architecture here is designed specifically for rest. The thick, massive masonry acts as a natural barrier against the biting mountain winds and the howling desert gales, creating a pocket of tranquility where the air is perfectly calm and the human heart can finally slow its frantic beat to match the slow, rhythmic pulse of the ancient world. In the very center of this vast courtyard, a low fire is glowing in a circular stone hearth. It is not a roaring, aggressive blaze, but a collection of deep, pulsating amber embers that glow with a soft, hypnotic intensity. There is no smoke to sting the eyes, only the comforting, woody aroma of slow-burning desert scrub and dried cedar that curls lazily into the night air. Occasionally, a single spark rises from the hearth, dancing upward in a slow, spiral path toward the stars before vanishing into the velvet darkness above. Watching this constant, flickering rhythm works on the mind like a soft lullaby, drawing your gaze into the depth of the glowing coals where the concept of time, minutes, hours, and days simply ceases to exist. Around this central fire, the inhabitants of the road have found their peace in a state of shared, sacred stillness. There is no talking here, no clatter of trade, no counting of coins. There is only a collective, unspoken agreement to let the world rest. Travelers from a dozen different lands, Persians in their heavy silks, Sogdians with their embroidered caps, and weary pilgrims from far-off India sit or lie in a comfortable, dignified silence, their faces illuminated by the soft, flickering orange glow of the embers. In this light, all differences of language and land dissolve, leaving only the shared experience of the journey and the shared need for rest. Some are leaning against the warm stone pillars, their eyes closed in deep meditation, while others are simply staring into the dark, their thoughts as still and unmoving as the night air. Nearby, the camels have settled for the long night, their heavy, shaggy forms looking like ancient boulders in the darkness. They are kneeling in the soft, dusty earth of the courtyard, their long, graceful necks tucked close to their bodies as they drift into their own rhythmic slumber. Listen to the sound of their presence. It is a deep, resonant breathing, a hushing huff, and a long, rhythmic sigh that seems to vibrate through the very stones of the floor. As they chew the last of their evening fodder, the sound is slow, mechanical, an incredibly grounding, steady vibration that adds a layer of absolute comfort to the silence, acting as a living wall of safety between you and the immense, starry emptiness of the high plateau outside. You find your own place among the stones, a raised wooden platform tucked deep beneath one of the great stone arches where your blankets have been laid out with care. The fabric is heavy, soft, and comforting, thick mountain, wool and hand-woven cotton that still smells of sun-dried grass and the safety of a distant home. As you lie back, the cold night air of the Persian plateau touches your forehead, refreshing and sharp, providing a beautiful, cooling contrast to the warmth of the blankets and the radiant heat still emanating from the stone vaulting above you, framed perfectly by the elegant, geometric curve of the stone arch. The infinite Persian sky reveals itself in all its terrifyingly beautiful glory. Without the artificial lights of a city to cloud the view, the stars here do not just twinkle. They pulse with a steady, ancient light that feels close enough to touch. You can see the constellations that have guided every caravan for 3,000 years, the Great Bear, the Hunter, and the shimmering, celestial river of the Milky Way that looks like silver smoke frozen across the ceiling of the universe. The arch above you provides a profound sense of safety, a solid frame that makes the infinite feel intimate and protective, as if the universe itself has been tailored to watch over your sleep. The flickering shadows of the firelight dance across the underside of the stone vaulting, creating moving patterns of light and dark that look like the silent, moving ghosts of ancient stories being whispered to the night. In this caravanserai, time has almost entirely stopped, stretching out until every second feels like an eternity of peace. There is no tomorrow to plan for, no yesterday to mourn, and no more miles left to walk. There is only the warmth of the stone, the soft, dying glow of the embers, and the shared rhythmic breath of the travelers and the patient beasts. You are tucked away in a sanctuary of rock and fire, deep in the heart of an ancient and welcoming land that has mastered the art of hospitality. Feel the weight of your limbs as they sink into the blankets, becoming heavy, still, and relaxed. Let your breath synchronize with the slow, deep sighs of the kneeling camels and the soft, rhythmic crackle of the dying fire. The amber coals are turning to soft gray ash now, but the warmth remains deeply embedded in the stone, protecting you, holding you, and shielding you. The stars continue their slow, silent rotation above the arches, watching over the road as they have done since the very beginning of time. You are a part of this stillness. You are a part of the stone, the fire, and the stars. Let the flickering shadows lead you deeper into the quiet, until the Persian night carries you away into a sleep that is as deep, as vast, and as timeless as the Silk Road itself. The world behind us, the wide and sun-drenched Persian plateau, has slowly dissolved into a memory of golden dust and amber embers. And now we find ourselves entering a realm of vertical majesty and ancient, unyielding stone. We are beginning our ascent into the mountain passes of Anatolia, a land where the earth itself seems to reach up to touch the hem of the heavens. Here, the landscape is no longer a flat expanse to be crossed, but a series of monumental challenges and breathtaking sanctuaries. The path beneath the caravan's feet has narrowed, becoming a winding silver thread that clings to the rugged shoulders of the peaks. Feel the shift in the rhythm of the journey as the climb begins in earnest. There is no haste here, for the mountains do not acknowledge the passage of human time. They only understand the slow erosion of wind and the seasonal weight of the snow. Each step taken by the camels is deliberate, a heavy and rhythmic thud of padded feet against the weathered limestone and the fine, cool gravel of the trail. The sound is grounding, a steady pulse that echoes faintly off the rock faces, creating a hypnotic cadence that synchros with the slow, deep beating of your own heart. As we climb higher, the air begins to change, shedding the heavy warmth of the lowlands and taking on a crystalline, needle-sharp clarity. With every breath you draw, feel the coolness entering your lungs, expanding within you like a draft of pure, liquid light. This is an air that has never known the smoke of a city or the dust of a crowded market. It is an air that has traveled over thousands of miles of untouched wilderness, purified by the high-altitude winds and scented with the wild herbal essence of the high places, the sharp resin of pine, the earthy scent of mountain thyme, and the cold, mineral smell of wet stone. The moonlight spills over the jagged edges of the Anatolian peaks like a river of liquid mercury, transforming the world into a cinematic study of silver and deep, velvety shadow. The cliffs on either side of the path rise up like the walls of a great natural cathedral, their surfaces etched with the scars of eons, telling a silent story of the earth's violent birth and its long, slow cooling. Look toward the ridges and see the ancient pines standing as motionless sentinels in the silver light. These are the elders of the mountain, their gnarled trunks twisted by centuries of winter gales, their branches heavy with needles that capture the moonlight in 1,000 tiny, shimmering points of brilliance. They do not rustle. They do not sway. They simply exist in a state of profound, dignified stillness, watching over the pass with a silent, protective presence. The scent of these trees is thick and comforting, a deep, woody aroma that grounds the soul and clears the mind. It is a fragrance that speaks of endurance, of roots deep in the stone, and of a peace that is as old as the mountains themselves. The shadows cast by these trees are long and soft, stretching across the narrow path like dark velvet carpets, inviting you to move through them with a sense of quiet reverence and absolute safety. Listen now to the symphony of the high places, a music composed of silence and the most subtle of vibrations. In the far distance, perhaps miles away, across a shadowed gorge, you hear the call of a mountain owl. It is a sound so soft, so perfectly integrated into the night, that it is barely audible, a low, rhythmic hoo-hoo that vibrates against the stone walls of the valley before vanishing into the infinite sky. It is a peaceful signal, a reminder that even in this high, cold wilderness, life is present and at rest. Beneath the owl's call, there is the voice of the wind. In these high Anatolian passes, the wind does not howl or roar as it might in the lower plains. It moves like a slow-moving river of air, slipping through the narrow gaps in the stone and whispering through the needles of the pines with a hushing, melodic quality. It is a constant, low-frequency sound, a gentle she that fills the space around you without ever disturbing the profound silence of the night. It is the breath of the mountain itself, moving with a pace that matches the slow, swaying gait of the caravan, lulling your mind into a state of effortless, dreamlike calm. As you gaze upward and outward, the distant peaks rise to meet the stars, their summits crowned with the first snows of the approaching winter. The snow is a brilliant, ghostly white under the moon, looking like a blanket of crushed diamonds resting on the dark, unmoving stone. It is a silence made visible, a cold and pure stillness that guards the highest reaches of the world, where nothing breathes and nothing moves but the light. There is a sense of immense, liberating space here, a feeling that you are floating in the thin silver air between the earth and the heavens. The mountains provide a sense of profound protection, their massive, monumental bulk shielding you from the cares, the noises, and the frantic energies of the world below. You are safe in this high sanctuary, tucked away in the deep folds of the earth, where time is measured only by the slow rotation of the constellations and the gradual shifting of the stars. Every step of the journey is a rhythmic, hypnotic pulse, a steady, grounding vibration that relaxes your muscles and stills your thoughts, until they are as clear and as quiet as the mountain air itself. The path continues its slow, spiraling ascent, leading you through narrow gorges, where the rock walls rise up so high they seem to touch the stars. The stone here is cool and smooth, polished by the wind and the rains of 1,000 years, and as you brush against it, you can feel the ancient strength of the earth. In these narrow, sheltered places, the silence is even deeper, a concentrated stillness that allows you to hear the soft, rhythmic sound of your own breathing. Feel how your breath has slowed, becoming deep, even, and effortless, mirroring the vast and unhurried pace of the mountains that surround you. There is no need to think about the destination. There is no need to count the miles or plan for the morning. There is only the cool air on your skin, the silver light on the ancient pines, and the steady swaying motion of the caravan as it carries you higher into the heart of the world. You are moving through a landscape of pure, unadulterated peace, a world where the only thing that matters is the present moment and the breathtaking beauty of the high, silent places. As the night deepens, the stars above the Anatolian peaks seem to grow larger and brighter, pulsating with a steady, white light that illuminates the path with a soft, celestial glow. The mountain owl calls once more, even more distant than before, a ghostly echo that seems to come from the very edge of the world. And then the landscape settles into a silence that is absolute and holy. You are a part of this mountain night, a small but vital note in the eternal song of the stillness. The snow on the distant peaks continues to shimmer, the pines continue their silent watch, and the wind continues its gentle, hushing melody through the stone valleys. Let yourself be carried by this rhythm. Let the cool, clean air of the high passes fill your mind with a sense of infinite spaciousness and light. You are ascending into a dream of stone and moonlight, moving slowly and peacefully through the ancient gateways of the world, until there is nothing left but the deep, restorative, and eternal quiet of the mountains. The path begins to level out now, reaching a high, starlit plateau where the mountains draw back to reveal an expanse of silver grass and low windswept shrubs. Here, the world feels even more infinite, a place where the soul can expand and find its own inherent stillness. The caravan moves like a shadow across this silver landscape, a silent and graceful line of life in a world of stone and sky. The fatigue of the climb has transformed into a heavy, pleasant relaxation that spreads through your limbs like a warm, rising tide. Your mind is as clear and as still as the mountain air, free of all noise, all worry, and all weight. You are sheltered by the giants of Anatolia, cradled in a world of silver and silence, moving slowly toward a sleep that is as deep, as enduring, and as peaceful as the mountains themselves, drifting away on the cold, clean breath of the ancient peaks. As the high, crystalline air of the mountain passes begins to soften and thicken, the world slowly and gracefully tilts downward, leading the caravan on a gentle, almost imperceptible descent from the jagged, silver-crowned peaks into the vast, undulating embrace of the Anatolian plains. The sharp, cold edges of the stone mountains gradually dissolve behind us, becoming a dark and distant wall that guards the horizon like a memory of a harder world, while before us opens a landscape of infinite space and profound, velvet stillness that seems to have no beginning and no end. The air here undergoes a subtle but transformative change. It has lost the biting, needle-like chill of the heights and taken on a mellow, earthy warmth that carries the scent of sun-baked hay, dried wild herbs, and the cooling, ancient dust of the lowland roads that have been trodden by countless souls for millennia. The sense of vertical majesty that dominated the mountains is replaced now by a horizontal infinity, an endless sea of open land that stretches out beneath a sky so vast, so deep, and so heavy with stars that it seems to cradle the entire world in its dark, indigo palms. This is the quiet, pulsing heart of Anatolia at night, a place where the earth itself seems to breathe with a slow, heavy, and rhythmic pulse, inviting you to let go of the last remnants of the day's journey, to shed the weight of your name and your history, and to sink into a state of deep, dreamlike wandering where time is nothing more than a whisper in the tall grass. The caravan moves across this immense expanse like a silent shadow, its progress marked only by the soft, rhythmic padding of the camel's large, cushioned feet on the dry, packed earth of the ancient trade route. The sound is a low, muffled thrum, gentle compression of the soil that resonates through the ground and vibrates softly up through the soles of your feet and into your body, grounding you and lulling your senses into a hypnotic, effortless trance. In this open land, the wind is a mere ghost of a breath, a faint and cooling movement of air that sighs across the tall, dry grasses and the low, silver-leaved shrubs, creating a sound like a distant, hushing sea that has no shore. It is a sound of perfect, unbroken continuity, a sound that has no beginning and no end, filling the silence without ever truly breaking it, a sonic blanket that wraps around the caravan and protects it from the chaos of the waking world. As you sway with the slow, pendulous motion of the journey, feel the immense, comforting weight of the sky above you. It is a heavy, protective dome of the deepest violet, where the stars do not merely twinkle, but glow with a steady, ancient luminescence, looking like distant, glowing embers scattered across the hearth of the universe. There is no noise here, no hurry, no destination that matters more than the peaceful, rhythmic movement of the present moment, a movement that feels as though it could continue forever, into the silver-gray reaches of the horizon in the distance. Nestled in the gentle folds of the low, rolling hills, we begin to see the first of the sleeping villages. Small clusters of life huddled together for warmth and safety in the vastness of the plains. These are humble settlements, houses made of stone, timber, and sun-dried mud brick that have been weathered by centuries of sun and wind until their shapes blend almost perfectly into the dark, maternal earth, looking as if they have grown naturally out of the landscape itself. As the caravan approaches the outskirts of such a village, the world seems to grow even quieter, the silence thickening into a rich, tangible substance that muffles the world in a coat of velvet. The narrow dirt paths that wind between the low houses are empty and still, their dust undisturbed by the night air, holding the silence of 1,000 years of rural life. There is a profound sense of intimacy here, a feeling of stepping into a sacred private world where time has been suspended and the modern world is a forgotten myth. The houses are dark, their heavy wooden shutters closed tight against the night and the spirits of the air. But here and there, a soft, amber glow spills from a high, narrow window, the faint, flickering light of a single oil lamp or a dying hearth that someone has left to guard the house until the dawn. This light is warm, golden, and pulsing, a tiny pulse of human presence in the vast indigo night that speaks of safety, of family, and of the deep, restorative sleep that is the birthright of the tired. As the caravan passes through the village, move as a ghost might move, silent, unseen, and entirely at peace with the shadows. The air here carries the rich, comforting, and nostalgic aroma of wood smoke drifting lazily from the low, stone chimneys. It is the scent of oak, poplar, and dried dung fires that have warmed the evening meal and now settle into gray ash as the families within dream of the harvest and the coming rains. The smoke rises in thin, silver plumes, curling slowly toward the stars in intricate, languid patterns before dissolving into the cool night mist. Listen to the silence of the village. It is a thick, multi-layered stillness that feels like a physical embrace. The village dogs, usually the vigilant, sharp-voiced guardians of the night, are curled up deep in the shadows of the doorways or beneath the heavy wooden carts, their breathing deep and rhythmic, their spirits far away in the lands of sleep where there are no strangers to bark at. The birds are tucked away in the eaves of the thatched roofs and the ancient, twisted branches of the mulberry and walnut trees, their songs silenced by the heavy silver light of the moon. There is no movement, no clatter of late-night work, no human voice to break the spell of the night. You are a silent witness to this collective rest, a traveler passing through the very heart of a dream without ever disturbing the dreamer, moving with a grace that is as light as the moonlight on the dust. The road leads the caravan back out into the open plains, leaving the sleeping village behind like a ship leaving a quiet, starlit harbor for the open sea. The sense of passing through without being seen, of being a phantom on the road, is a profound and liberating gift. It allows you to shed the identity of the traveler, to forget the burdens you carry, and to become a part of the night itself. You are not a stranger here, but a part of the eternal flow of the landscape, a note in the song of the Anatolian steppe. The plains open up once more, the horizon receding into a hazy, silver-gray distance, where the earth and sky merge into a single, seamless entity of peace. The moonlight rests on the open land like a layer of gossamer silk, highlighting the gentle, rolling curves of the hills and the long, straight lines of the ancient trade routes that have seen the passage of 1,000 civilizations. The sense of space is immense and liberating, a feeling of absolute freedom that allows your mind to expand until it touches the stars and then settle back into a state of perfect, quiet clarity. There are no walls here, no boundaries to your thoughts, only the infinite path and the slow swaying, hypnotic rhythm of the camels as they carry you through the dark. Feel the deep, heavy, and blissful relaxation that comes with this part of the journey across the flatlands. The air is perfectly still, The world is dark and kind, and the only reality is the gentle, rocking motion of your mount and the soft, repetitive sound of the road beneath you. Your thoughts have become like the smoke from the village chimneys, thin, light drifting slowly away on a breeze you cannot feel, until they vanish entirely into the cool night air. The fatigue in your muscles is no longer an ache or a burden, but a pleasant, heavy weight. A comforting signal to the body that the time has come to surrender to the earth. The Anatolian plains are a vast, ancient cradle of stone and soil, and tonight, they are rocking you toward a sleep that is as vast and as quiet as the land itself. You are moving through a dream of earth and stars, a silent passenger in a world that is perfectly at rest. The villages sleep in their stone beds, the dogs rest in their shadows, the roads are empty and waiting, and you are carried forward by a force as old as the mountains and as steady as the turning of the earth. As the night continues its slow, majestic, and silent arc across the heavens, the stars seem to descend closer to the horizon, their light becoming softer, more diffused, and more magical. The silence of the plains is absolute, a holy and ancient stillness that wraps around the caravan like a protective velvet cloak. You are safe in this emptiness, tucked away in the secret heart of Anatolia, where the only law is the rhythm of the seasons and the peace of the night. Every breath you take is deep, effortless, and slow, drawing in the cool, earthy scent of the plains and releasing all remaining tension, all memory of worry, into the dark. There is nothing left for you to do but watch the slow, rhythmic shift of the shadows on the ground and listen to the muffled, heartbeat-like thud of the camel's feet. You are drifting deeper and deeper into the dream of the Silk Road, moving through the sleeping world toward a rest that knows no boundaries, until there is nothing left in your mind but the infinite, starlit silence of the open land and the promise of the sea that lies somewhere far beyond the edge of the dark. The vast, silent stretches of the Anatolian interior begin to yield at last, as the heavy, earthy scent of the sun-baked plains is gradually overtaken by a new and transformative presence in the night air, a presence that signals the end of the long, overland odyssey across the heart of the world. It begins as a subtle, almost imperceptible shift, a sudden, sharp coolness that carries the invigorating temps of salt, the mineral richness of the deep, churning sea, and the faint, clean aroma of wet stone and drying seaweed. This is the first breath of the Marmara, a cooling, moisture-laden message from the west, carried on a gentle breeze that whispers of the journey's final destination. As the caravan moves forward through the final, rolling hills of Thrace, the atmosphere becomes heavy with a pearlescent, liquid mist, a soft and luminous fog that clings to the hollows of the earth and blurs the lines between the physical land and the infinite sky. The world is transitioning now from the deep indigo of the night into the first, tentative whispers of the dawn, a sacred time of day known only to the travelers and the dreamers, when the universe is held in a state of perfect, expectant grace, and the echoes of the road begin to fade into the rhythm of the tides. Look toward the eastern horizon, where a thin, pale ribbon of light is beginning to emerge, a soft wash of lavender, shelf pink, and pale amber that slowly dissolves the velvet darkness. In this fragile, unfolding light, the massive and legendary silhouette of Constantinople begins to materialize through the shifting mists, like a city born from the sea itself, a monumental dream made of stone and history. First, you see the great Theodosian walls, those legendary multi-layered defenses of stone and brick that have guarded the heart of the Roman world for 1,000 years. They emerge slowly, so very slowly, their towers rising like the shoulders of ancient giants from the white fog, their weathered surfaces etched with the scars of sieges and the soft wear of the elements. There is no sound of trumpets here, no clatter of armor, and no shout from the guards on the battlements. The walls are silent, half asleep in the morning chill, their great gates waiting patiently for the first true light of the sun to strike their iron-studded timbers. The city within is a labyrinth of human memory, a place where the echoes of Greece, Rome, Persia, and the distant East have been woven into a single, shimmering golden tapestry. But at this hour, even the queen of cities is resting, her streets empty of the daytime throng, her grand palaces draped in the soft, protective shadows of the coming day. As we draw closer, the path leads the caravan toward the quiet silvered waters of the harbors, where the atmosphere is one of profound, liquid tranquility. The Golden Horn and the Propontis are like sheets of dark, polished glass, undisturbed by the wind, reflecting the pale, growing glow of the sky with a shimmering, metallic clarity that feels almost supernatural. Dozens of ships, massive dromons from the Aegean, heavy merchant cogs from the North Sea, and slim, graceful dhows that have navigated the southern spice routes lay at anchor in the still water, their tall masts looking like a silent forest of leafless trees against the dawn. Listen to the music of the harbor. It is a symphony of soft, repetitive, and deeply grounding sounds that lull the mind into a state of total, effortless relaxation. You hear the rhythmic, hushing sound of the tide lapping against the marble stone quays, gentle slap and sigh of water meeting cold stone. Beneath this, there is the slow, rhythmic creak of heavy hemp ropes as the ships shift almost imperceptibly with the swell. It is a low, wooden groan, creak and strain that speaks of long voyages across the deep and the immense comfort of finding a safe port at last. The sound is steady and hypnotic, a reminder that the great journey is over and the true rest has begun. The air here is thick with the scent of the world's crossroads, a perfume that has been aging for centuries. Even in the profound stillness of the dawn, you can smell the ghosts of the city's trade, the lingering, resinous aroma of frankincense and myrrh from the great churches, the salt crust on the wooden hulls of the ships, and the faint, sweet, and dusty scent of the spice markets that wait behind the closed wooden gates of the city. Constantinople is a place where every language known to man has been spoken, and every god has been whispered to in the dark. A melting pot of cultures that has become the final resting place for the dreams of the entire Silk Road. As you walk beside the caravan toward the cool marble quays, feel the deep, historical weight of this place. You are standing at the bridge between continents, the very point where the East finally kisses the West. But there is no pressure to explore this morning, no need to navigate the complexities of the city or its politics. Today, Constantinople is merely a sanctuary of stone, sea, and silver light, a quiet, final room at the end of a very long and beautiful hall. The pale glow on the horizon is deepening now into a soft, honeyed gold, touching the highest domes of the great church of Hagia Sophia and the gilded tips of the triumphal columns. The mist is beginning to lift in slow, swirling veils, revealing the intricate, layered beauty of the city's skyline, the terracotta roofs, the deep greens of the hidden monastic gardens, and the brilliant white marble of the forums. But the city remains in its deep half-sleep, its heart beats slow and steady, matching the rhythm of your own. The fatigue of the thousands of miles you have traveled, the burning sands of the Gobi, the blue-tiled mysteries of Samarkand, the high, cold mountain passes of Anatolia, all of it is being washed away by the cool, salt-laden breath of the sea. Your journey has reached its ultimate destination. There are no more roads to follow, no more horizons to chase, and no more borders to cross. You are at the edge of the world, cradled by the ancient walls and the rhythmic, rocking movement of the water. Feel the final heavy surrender of your body as you settle into the stillness of the quay. The camels have stopped at last, their long mission complete, their breathing deep and rhythmic in the cool morning air. The sound of the creaking ropes and the lapping water becomes a continuous, hypnotic loop, a soundscape of absolute safety and arrival. You are a part of the history of this city now, one of the millions who have found their way to these marble shores to find peace. The light is soft, the air is cool, and the world is quiet. Let the image of the silver harbor, the silent ships, and the rising sun be the very last thing you hold in your mind. You have crossed the entire world to be here, and now there is nothing left for you to do but rest. Let the salt-scented silence of Constantinople wrap around you like a heavy, silken cloak, and sink down deeper and deeper into a sleep that is as vast, as deep, and as eternal as the sea itself. The road is gone, the sea is here, and you are, at long last, home. Leaving the protective, echoing shadows of the city's massive stone fortifications and the quiet, wooden memories of the harbor behind, we find ourselves stepping at last onto the open, sun-drenched shores of the Mediterranean. This is the ultimate threshold, the place where the solid, dusty, boasty, and often harsh reality of the Silk Road finally yields to the infinite, liquid embrace of the sea. As you walk toward the water's edge, feel the very texture of the world changing beneath you. The hard, packed earth of the Anatolian roads, which has supported your weight for hundreds of miles, has finally given way to smooth, sun-bleached stones and ancient, weathered marble steps that lead directly into the sapphire depths. The air here is a revelation. It is warmer now, infused with a golden radiance that feels like a physical touch, a gentle hand resting upon your skin. It is a thick, luxurious air, heavy with the sharp, clean tang of salt and the soft, floral undertones of the coastal scrub rosemary, wild thyme, and myrtle that clings to the cliffs. Take a long, slow, and deliberate breath, and feel the vastness of the sea entering your spirit. This is the breath of the world, at its most open and free, a breeze that has traveled over thousands of miles of open water, unburdened by mountains, walls, or borders, carrying with it the ancient, rhythmic song of the tides that has played since the beginning of time. Listen to the voice of the Mediterranean as it greets the shore in a language of perfect, unbroken peace. There is no crashing of waves here, no violent surge of the ocean against the land. There is only the gentle, melodic movement of the water as it touches the ancient stone with a tenderness that is almost sacred. Listen to the rhythmic hush and flow, a sound so steady, so deep, and so predictable that it begins to regulate the very beating of your heart, slowing your pulse to match the ancient movement of the sea. As each wave slides over the smooth, multicolored pebbles, it makes a soft, cascading sound, a delicate, liquid clatter that sounds like 1,000 tiny glass beads being poured slowly onto velvet. This is the heartbeat of the cradle of civilization, a sound that has remained unchanged since the first cedarwood ships set sail from these shores to explore the unknown. It is a sound that does not demand your attention, but rather invites you to let your thoughts drift away like sea foam, following the receding water back out into the deep, quiet, and unchanging blue. The movement is hypnotic, a constant, swaying grace that mirrors the long journey of the caravan. But here, the movement is eternal, a cycle of arrival and departure that knows no fatigue and no end. Look out across the vast, shimmering surface of the water, where the morning sun has begun to transform the sea into a field of liquid gold and scattered diamonds. The light does not just sit upon the water, it dances, creating millions of tiny, flickering points of brilliance that shift and shimmer with every subtle movement of the swell. The color of the sea is a breathtaking, deep aquamarine, a blue so pure and so profound that it seems to hold the entire sky within its depths. As you gaze toward the horizon, the line between the water and the atmosphere begins to dissolve into a soft, hazy glow. There is no hard edge to the world here. There is only a soft, glowing transition from the dark blue of the deep to the pale, pearlescent lavender of the infinite sky. In this vast, open space, time loses its grip on you entirely. The hours do not pass here. They simply flow, like the water, into a state of absolute, unmoving presence. You are standing at the end of the land, at the very limit of the earth, but it does not feel like an ending. It feels like a magnificent opening, a transition from the narrow, dusty paths of the earth to the wide, limitless, and silent possibilities of the water, high above the water. The seagulls glide in the golden light, their white wings catching the sun as they move with a silent, effortless grace that seems to defy the laws of the world. They do not cry out or hunt with the frantic, piercing energy of the day. They simply float upon the invisible currents of the air, their shadows dancing briefly across the surface of the waves like fleeting thoughts. Watching them is a meditation in itself, study in perfect stillness within motion. They represent the absolute freedom of this place, the ability to move without effort, to be carried by the world itself, rather than struggling against it. The air is so clear, and the silence is so deep, that you can almost hear the soft, rhythmic whistle of the wind through their feathers as they bank and turn. They are the silent guardians of the coast, the watchers of the horizon who remind you that the journey does not truly end. It simply changes its form, shedding the dust of the road for the clarity of the air. You have followed the dust and the stone for thousands of miles, across deserts and over mountains, and now you are invited to join the birds and the wind in their silent, aerial rest. Feel the profound sensation of completion that washes over you as you stand in this place of light, salt, and water. It is a completion without the harshness of finality, a sense of having reached a great and noble goal without the need for a sudden, jarring stop. The Silk Road has not ended. It has simply softened, its hard edges worn away by the salt, the spray, and the endless patience of the sea. The stories of the Gobi sands, the blue-tiled whispers of Samarkand, the cold mountain passes of Anatolia, and the sleeping villages of the plains, all of it flows into this vast, blue basin, becoming a part of the great, collective memory of the world. You carry the entire journey within you, every mile and every shadow, but the weight of it has vanished. In the presence of the Mediterranean, every burden becomes as light as the sea foam that dissolves upon the sand. You are whole, you are arrived, and you are free. The journey has led you with purpose to this moment of perfect, sun-drenched clarity, where the only thing that remains is the rhythm of the waves and the warmth of the light dot. As the morning deepens and the world grows still, the heat of the sun becomes a comforting, heavy blanket, encouraging you to find a place of rest upon the ancient, sun-warmed marble of the quay. Lie back and let the solid stone support you, feeling the last remnants of the journey's fatigue being drawn out of your body by the steady, radiant warmth of the earth. The sound of the sea is all-encompassing now, a continuous hushing lullaby that fills the chambers of your mind and excludes all other noise, all other thought. The scent of the salt is thick, clean, and restorative, a perfume of the deep that promises a sleep without dreams and a rest without end. You are at the gates of the Mediterranean, the final harbor of the ancient world. The water is calling you to let go, to sink into the blue, to become a part of the eternal, swaying movement of the tides. There is nothing left to seek, nothing left to find, and nowhere else to be. The horizon is wide and welcoming, the air is warm and kind, and the world is at peace. Let the soft, liquid whispers of the sea carry you away, moving slowly and gracefully into the heart of the light, until you are nothing more than a part of the infinite, sapphire silence of the world's end. The long winding ribbon of the road, which has been a hard line of sun-baked earth, jagged mountain stone, and shifting desert sand for so many moons, is finally beginning to fray at the very edges of your perception, losing its sharp definition against the deepening, heavy velvet of the final night, as the boundaries of the physical world begin to soften, blur, and melt away into the infinite. The road itself, that ancient and rhythmic artery of dust and memory that stretched across the rugged spine of the world, connecting the rising sun to the setting sea, is slowly dissolving into a soft, formless mist that rises from the cooling ground to meet the shimmering, distant stars. There is no longer a sense of forward or backward, no longer a distance to be measured by footsteps, or a destination to be reached by effort. As the very concept of the journey begins to unravel and melt into the profound, absolute, and holy stillness of the Mediterranean shore. The high, formidable walls of the city, the jagged, silver-crowned peaks of the mountains, and the shifting, golden dunes of the great deserts are all losing their solid form, blending together into a single, seamless tapestry of sapphire and shadow where every landmark becomes a ghost, and every memory becomes a soft, cooling whisper. The vibrant, celestial lapis lazuli of Samarkand is bleeding into the deep, sunset ochres of the Gobi, and the white, polished marble of Constantinople is softening into the dark, maternal earth of the Anatolian plains, until all the diverse landscapes of the world are one, a quiet and unified dream of the ancient earth at rest, held in the cradle of the dark water. Listen as the world becomes increasingly muffled and distant, as if the air itself has been replaced by the softest, thickest layers of heavy silk draped gently over your senses. The sounds that have guided us across continents, the rhythmic, metallic jingle of the bronze camel bells, the low, melodic murmur of the caravan drivers sharing stories by the fire, the distant, haunting call of the mountain owl, and the hushing, silken whisper of the desert wind are all growing fainter now, retreating into a distant, unreachable horizon of thought. The bell's chime is no longer a sharp or clear note, but a soft, silver pulse, a heartbeat of sound that occurs at the very limit of your hearing, becoming slower and more rhythmic until the silence between the notes is as vast and as deep as the sea itself. The sound of the waves against the quay is no longer a distinct splash, but a gentle, atmospheric hum, a constant white noise that wraps around your senses like a protective cocoon and draws a veil over the external world. Every vibration, every echo of the long and weary road is being absorbed by the cooling stone and the deep, dark, unmoving water, leaving behind only the sound of your own breathing, slow, effortless, rhythmic, and perfectly in tune with the turning of the silent, ancient constellations above. The images in your mind's eye are beginning to blur and soften like ink dropped into a pool of still water, their colors fading into the gentle, monochromatic peace of the deep, violet twilight. You can still see the ghosts of the journey, the flickering, amber light of the Persian fire, the soft, honeyed glow of the lanterns in the sleeping villages, and the shimmering, mirror-like surface of the oasis pools. But they are all merging into a single, soft radiance that emanates from within the night itself. The movement of the caravan has slowed until it is almost entirely imperceptible, a rocking swaying that has become so subtle you can no longer tell if you are moving through the world or if the world is simply rocking you in its ancient, stone cradle. Your limbs feel heavy, infused with the weight of 1,000 miles and 1,000 stories, a weight of profound and total comfort, a grounding force that pulls you down into the soft, yielding blankets of the present moment. The fatigue has transformed into a golden liquid that fills your muscles and stills your nerves, turning your body into a vessel of pure, unmoving rest, where the weight of the journey becomes the weight of the sleep, and the road becomes a river of shadow. Time has finally lost its grip on the world, stretching out like the horizon until it vanishes into the infinite, starry expanse of the dark. There is no urgency left in the spirit, no thought of the coming morning light, no memory of the miles that remain or the tasks that wait in the waking world. The journey has not ended so much as it has reached a state of perfect, liquid suspension, where the traveler and the road are no longer separate entities, but parts of the same eternal flow of history and stone. You are the sand that shifts under the gentle wind. You are the ancient stone that holds the warmth of the day's sun, and you are the water that sighs against the shore. The air on your skin is becoming indistinguishable from the warmth of the heavy blankets, and the scent of the salt sea is fading into the scent of deep, dreamless peace. Everything is becoming smaller, quieter, and more intimate as the vastness of the world folds itself up like a silk map, and you are tucked safely within its folds. protected by the silence and the protective dark. The thoughts in your mind are no longer words or sentences, but slow, drifting shapes, like clouds passing across a moonlit sky, moving without purpose and dissolving into the dark before they can ever be grasped, named, or remembered. The rhythm of the world is slowing to a total halt. The pulse of the sea is softening into a murmur, and the light of the stars is dimming into a soft, protective gray that covers the mind like a dream. You are drifting away from the shore of the waking world, moving out into a deep, silent ocean where there are no landmarks, no directions, and no needs. The sway of the journey is a faint, distant memory now. A heartbeat that is finally coming to rest in the sanctuary of the night. There is only the sensation of sinking, of letting go, of being carried by a current that is as old as the earth and as gentle as a sigh. The colors are gone, the sounds have retreated, and the road has vanished into the silver mist. There is only the weight of the night, the warmth of the silence, and the slow, beautiful dissolution of the self into the infinite. Starlit dark of the ancient world, where everything is still and everything is quiet. The shadows are stretching long across the marble, and the thought of the road is becoming the thought of the sea, and the sea is becoming the thought of the soft and the dark, and the world is only a whisper of a whisper in the depth of the velvet night, where nothing moves and nothing remains but the slow drift into the timeless, and the deep and the perfectly silent, and the heavy and the warm, and the world is so quiet now as the final light flickers and the heart slows, and the breath is only a soft sigh in the darkness, and the dream is finally the only world that exists, and the sand is soft, and the stone is warm, and the water is still, and the road is just a ghost of a shadow of a thought, drifting away into the deep blue of the eternal and the quiet, and the rest is here at last in the cradle of the ancient way.